of collecting vintage pocket knives, I've never seen buffalo horn like this. This 1900s Herbert Robinson has grain patterns that shouldn't even be possible, and collectors are paying some quite large numbers of money, up to £200 for something like this. And after what I'm about to show you, you'll understand exactly why these knives are so highly sought after by collectors alike. Now, before we jump into the vintage treasures and gems I've got here, just going to explain a little bit about buffalo horn and why, you know, it's so versatile and why everybody loves it. First of all, you can probably tell from this superb grain patterning you can get from some of this feathered, streaked, marked. I've heard it called lots of different things. I use feathered, but I know a lot of people use streaked as well. And this is one I put together myself. This was just a standard Arthurite. Then I put some beautiful buffalo on there. And it's becoming quite rare to find now because, of course, early 1900s, this was put on quite a lot of knives. You know, it was around a lot. There was lots to use. And, you know, it was really a time before plastic and sort of Delrin, things like that, became popular to use as sort of a cheap material. And buffalo acts a lot like plastic. It's very forgiving. When you're pinning it, you know, there's lots of give and it doesn't crack as much as, say, bone wood or stag. So it became something very easy to work with. And after time, it does fade and shrink and it, you know, becomes kind of lackluster. So we very rarely see that on any sort of knives now, but we're going to take a look at some of my favorites I've got here in my collection. So here we have a Petty & Sons Slim or Gentleman's Barlow. Now this is in the very sort of black pure buffalo, as I'd like to call it. You know, not much figuring on the front at all, but you can see the grain going through it there as well. And you can see on the back here, there's a little bit of feathering or streaking going out the back of the knife. Now this was found on an online marketplace, and I wasn't sure if it was buffalo or not, but when it turned up, you can honestly tell just by looking at it that it's buffalo. You can see the sort of the hair-like grain going through it. It looks absolutely beautiful. And this one has wonderful brass liners and one of the most beautiful clip point blades I've ever seen. You can see this is a Petty. Beautiful bit of buffalo on there. But take my word for it, it gets a hell of a lot more beautiful than this. Wait until you see knife number 3, because that one is an absolute stunner. Next up is one I got in a trade with Mikey Newman. Now this, again, it does look quite plain indoors. When you go out in the sunlight, you can just about see the streaking through here. It really pops. And it's such a tactile, versatile material. Although it's polished, it's not slick, if that makes sense. Not like a polished plastic. You still some grip to it. And this would have been a sheepsfoot blade, I'd imagine, based on how fat it is at the end down here still. But you can see the profile of that knife. Beautiful rat tail bolster. Number 6 Norfolk Street. Nice Joseph Rogers and Sons. Beautiful build quality. But I mean, look at the buffalo on the back of that. You got that sort of creamy looking buffalo going through here, that without the best. All that like silver streak or grey streak, you'd probably really call it. But this is one of my favourite carries. I've had this a week or two and I've been in the pocket quite a lot, to be honest. It's a beautiful knife. But buffalo, if you haven't tried one, honestly, I really hope this video urges you to pick up some knives in buffalo. Maybe even if it's a new Sheffield knife or a custom, or maybe if you find something old like this and try it, give it a light sand, buff it up, and it really comes back to life. But here we have it. Look at the buffalo on this. This is a George Wostenholm IXL Stockman. This is probably mid-2000s this was made. So it does have the stainless blades. But look at the back springs as well. Wonderful coined liners all the way round the knife. And you will notice, you see just in there, the spacer is coined inside the channel as well. And this thing is absolutely beautiful. The feathering and streaking going through there. There's the natural sort of groove going through the buffalo as well. And doesn't that just look superb? Now on the back you get that contrast of the sort of the clear horn, a bit like ram's horn, but you do have a bit of that darkness going through it. But again, it all adds to the character of the knife, and I just think this thing is absolutely superb. Then you have a little bit of the blade worked at the top, carrying on, but a fantastic Stockman. This is definitely going to be anyone's sort of smart carry, but nice action on all the blades. Of course, standard Stockman pattern, so you get the clip, the Sheepsfoot, and then you'll get the spay on there as well. But all the blades have that little bit of working on the top. You can see it just here. But absolutely superb. And isn't that the most beautiful buffalo you've seen on a knife? I mean, ever. I cannot get enough of this thing. I think it's just absolutely superb. Now we have the last two knives on the list. And I want to do these two together because I picked them up from an online retailer. Now, the gent that owns the company is absolutely superb. His name's Alan. I'll put the link to his website in the description below, so you'll be able to find the link for this. But he has some superb knives on there. And it is Brigantian knives. Now, I've probably butchered that, so if I have, I'm very sorry. But you'll see it in the description below. I'll put the name at the top of the screen and a link for you to click as well. But these two I picked up late last week, and they arrived over the weekend. So the first one we have here is a 4-inch Taylor's Eyewitness lamb's foot. You can see that beautiful feathering at the bottom here into the dark towards the top. And this has the 4 pins, all of which are in quite unusual positions, really, especially this one. Normally you'd expect it at the end of the knife, but it's up here. They got the 2 here holding the covers on. This, of course, would be the back spring pin. And on the back, you can see very different sort of feathering, a lot like the back of, what did I show you earlier? On the back of this one, where you've got that sort of clean greying so going through. You can see that there on there as well. Rat tail bolsters on this one as well. Half stop, lovely action, and look at that old stamp. Beautiful Eyewitness stamp. Lamb's foot on the blade, nicely cleaned up blade as well. But a beautiful pocket knife, and his prices are incredibly fair. He's got some beautiful knives on there as well. So make sure you're going to check him out, because he is a fantastic guy to deal with. You can email him on there as well, and he'll get back to you about any knives. And this one here, look at this thing. This is a Herbert Robinson, which I'm going to call a swell center jack. Not quite a Coke bottle. I'm going to go with swell center. It's not quite as pronounced as much as I would have thought for a Coke bottle. But look at the buffalo horn on that. What, like pure white at the bottom here into the black at the top. And then you have this wonderful white streaking down to the black at the bottom. This is a 2-bladed one. So you can see you've got a nice penknife there with Herbert Robinson on the stamp. And then we have the master blade on there as well. Herbert Robinson, Sheffield. And look at that beautiful spear. Absolutely flawless knife. I'm really enjoying buffalo recently, and with these pickups it's becoming more and more prevalent in my collection. And it's just one of those things where when I see a buffalo knife, they would have made them back in the day, you know, early 1900s. This would have been their basic material, like their budget material, you know, one that's hard wearing, doesn't crack. But when you come back to look at it in today's times, when you've got Delrin and things, for me, buffalo is right up there with an absolute belter of a premium material. And I just really wish that more companies would use buffalo as, you know, one of the materials in their lineup, because I mean, look at the 5 I've got on the table here. They're absolutely superb. But if I could rank them, if that's even possible for me, Petty number 5, Rogers 4, it's probably going to be like this, I think. Taylor's at 3, this IXL at number 2, and the only reason it's beaten out is because by the Herbert Robinson is because the back of this one is quite different to the front, whereas on this Herbert Robinson, you know, both sides are spectacular. But I'd love to know in the description below, do you have any buffalo knives? If so, do you have favourites? Do you like any of these, or which one of these was your favourite? Let me know in the description below. I love hearing all the information about what you've got to give about your knives. I just want to share the hobby with people, and I hope you all enjoy it as much as I do with these absolute stunning buffalo knives. But I hope you all enjoyed this. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this, and ring that bell so you'll be made aware of videos when they drop. Have a wonderful day. Peace out.